You ever get that feeling that something's just shifted in the world? Not in a big, obvious way, but in how people think, how they treat each other. Well, today we're diving into an ancient concept that might just explain that feeling, the dawn of Kali Yuga. And listen, this isn't about doomsday stuff. It's about a really fascinating change inside the human mind itself. And this quote, it just nails the whole idea. See, it's not predicting some fiery apocalypse. It's talking about a quiet, internal shift. It's almost like a tiny seed of self-interest got planted in the heart of humanity, and it slowly started to change the very fabric of society. So, to really get what's new, we've got to look at what ended. The age of epic heroes and grand gestures was coming to a close. But not with a huge bang. It was more like a quiet, symbolic fade-out. The stage was being cleared for a completely different kind of story. I mean, just picture it. A magnificent city, the absolute symbol of a glorious age, just swallowed by the ocean. That's how the old era ended. It wasn't just a physical event. It was a powerful symbol that the world they all knew was literally gone. And it wasn't just the cities, right? The moral compass of the entire age shifted. The great heroes of the Mahabharata, these guys who were the living embodiment of honor and duty, they just walked away, leaving a huge void. This created a vacuum, basically a blank slate for a new and very different story to start. Okay, so the old world's gone. What takes its place? Well, the new era didn't show up with a bunch of fireworks. It arrived with a subtle little tweak in the human heart. And there's this simple story about two farmers that just perfectly captures this change. So, in the age before, the Dwapara Yuga, the first instinct was always Dharma. And that's more than just duty. It's about righteousness, about doing the right thing for the whole, you know? So when these farmers stumble upon a pot of gold, their first thought isn't about getting rich. It's about their responsibility to give it back.
And this is where it gets really interesting. Nothing on the outside has changed. It's the same farmers, the same pot of gold, the same field. The only thing that's different is what's happening inside their heads. The question, what's the right thing to do, has been replaced by, hey, what's in it for me?
And that is the absolute key, isn't it? Kali Yuga isn't some monster hiding in the shadows. It's a subtle shift in our own internal software. It's that moment when suspicion starts to win out over trust, when me starts to feel a whole lot more important than we. All right, so we've seen how this new way of thinking took root, but how did it actually start to, spread? Our next story gives us a pretty good look, all through the eyes of a king who saw it happening firsthand.
This king, he sees this moral decay happening in his kingdom, and he goes looking for the source. But he doesn't find some cartoon villain with a cape. Nope. He discovers that this spirit of the age was actually thriving in the most ordinary human places, the places where we all tend to let our guard down.
Yeah, the story points to 4 specific hotspots where this Kali Yuga mindset just loves to hang out. And think about them. Falsehood, intoxication, gambling, and debauchery. None of them are necessarily evil in themselves, but they're all situations where it becomes really easy to lose self-control and let our baser instincts take the wheel. Sound familiar at all? So, okay, put yourself in his shoes. You're the king. You see this influence spreading like a virus. What do? Do you grab your sword and try to fight this new evil? Do you try to force everything back to the way it was? But the king had this huge realization. You can't kill a mindset with a sword. The world had changed. The rules of the game were different now. The new challenge wasn't about destroying evil anymore, but about understanding it, managing it, and, most importantly, learning to control it within ourselves. So, we've heard these ancient stories. They're cool. But why should we care? What does any of this Kali Yuga stuff have to do with our lives right now? Well, as it turns out, everything. See, the Great War was over. The battlefields went quiet. All the obvious villains were gone. On the surface, it looked like a fresh start, right? A world totally cleansed of evil. But here's the catch. You can't kill an idea on a battlefield. The real enemies, things like greed, ego, envy, they weren't actually defeated. They just went dormant, like little seeds buried deep in the soil, just waiting for the right conditions to sprout all over again. And this is where it all hits home today. The battles of Kali Yuga aren't fought with swords and shields. They're fought in our offices, in our relationships, in those quiet moments when we have to choose between what's easy and what's right. It's that daily struggle between our better selves and our inner demons.
So you see, these ancient stories, they're not just history. They're a mirror. They force us to look at ourselves and ask, in all the little battles going on inside our own heads, which side is winning? The great war out there might be over, but for each of us, the war within is happening right now.